Assalamu alaikum, miss.
Walaikum assalam, Ilham. How are you?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah. How about you, miss?
Yes, I'm fine. Alhamdulillah. Basically, today we will be, inshallah, starting a new top subject, you can say a course, and it's called Corporate Social Responsibility.
Okay.
Uh, so this is the course, and what we will be doing in this, learners will be required to demonstrate evidence of understanding corporate social responsibility, the issues and the impact of CSR policies on the organizations and their stakeholders. That is, whenever we make up an organization, we have to inculcate the CSR, that is the corporate social responsibility, because every entity has a responsibility towards the environment as well towards the organization. Now, there are certain policies we will be doing those. We will be reading those. They will make recommendations for the responsible business practices because in an organization, you're familiar that we are already having the external and internal stakeholders as well. Now, in this course, we are going to have almost three learning outcomes. And with three learning outcomes, we are having loads of assessment criteria, but we will be doing it one by one. In two classes, we will be covering up LO1, and after that, we will be doing the task number one. So right underneath the specification, you can find the indicative content directly, whatever is written in the assessment criteria. That is, for example, in 1.1, it is written define corporate social responsibility. So they have given the aspects through which we can explain the definition. And in the same manner, I have explained in the slides as well, and so on. And again, you have to focus on the command verb as well, because that's the main and true sense. Here is the assignment for this course. We are having a scenario. We are having assignment number one. And in this, we're having task one, task two. And in both task one, task two, it is comprising straightforwardly from LO1 and LO2. And one part is from LO3 as well. That is 3.4. Then we're having assignment number two as well. It's possible, like within a course, we can have so many tasks, so many activities, and at the same time, we can have two assignments in one assignment brief as well. That is totally normal. In assignment number two, again, we're having three tasks in total, and they are from LO3 only. So I hope it's not a problem now. Like it's clear to you that in this course, we're going to have two assignments.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, and right underneath, we're having the suggested evidence as well. So this is lecture number one. First of all, LO1 is about understand the current CSR issues facing the business. First, we will discuss that what actually the corporate social responsibility is, and then we will see that the businesses, the corporate sector, the companies, the organizations, how they think that CSR is a problem or a problematic matter for them. Define CSR. Again, focusing on the command verb, it's very important. And then you have to jot down the answer according to the indicative content point and the suggested evidence. Define means state or show clearly and accurately. That is, you have to be concise and at the same time, you have to be clear as well. CSR, according to behaving responsibly, this was the aspect from your indicative content. It refers to the ethical and intentional commitment of a company to conduct its business in a manner that takes into consideration not only its economic interest, but also the impact of its activities on society and the environment. Very easy to grasp this information. We as an organization, we always want to earn abnormal profits, more profits, and a goodwill reputation, a good brand image as well. But what's the matter of the environment? Are we like literally eager to know that how badly we are adversely we're impacting the environment? That is why we impose the CSR policies, strategies into the organization. This involves adhering to the ethical standards, legal obligations, and engaging in practices that align with societal values. Contributing to a better society. CSR involves actively contributing to the well being of society and communities in which a company operates. That is, in the big brands or the big organization like Apple, Samsung, um, Google, and so on, Microsoft, they all have CSR policies. It goes beyond profit making objectives and includes initiatives that address social issues, promote social equity, and create positive societal impacts. That is why we are adhering these CSR policies into the organization because it combat the social issues like poverty and the gender inequality, then social equity, which is the imbalancing of the genders in the society and the different things as well, different variables and societal impacts. What is the impact of our action or reaction to the general public? Integrating the social and environmental concerns in the business. CSR means integrating social and environmental concerns into the core business operations and decision making process. It involves considering the potential effects of business activities on various stakeholders, including employees, consumers, communities, and the environment. Now, the CSR policies does not only impact the business itself, it impacts the including stakeholders as well, whether they are internal or external. Every policy, every decision has an impact on each and every entity or a person or a stakeholder. The triple bottom line, what it means? It means people, planet, and profit. Whenever we talk about the triple bottom lines, it is all about the people. That is, what is the impact of CSR on the people, on the planet, and the profit itself. So it is often associated with the triple bottom line approach, which emphasizes three key aspects: the people, planet, and profit. It means that a socially responsible company not only focuses on generating profit, that is economic bottom line, that is, we're not going to focus only on the inflation matters, employment matters, balance of payment accounts, and so on. There are other things as well, but also considers its impact on the people, social bottom line. That is, if we take this action or a decision or a step, then what will happen to the society and the planet, environmental bottom line, that is to the earth as well, to the environment, to the surroundings as well. In a sense, CSR reflects a company's commitment to acting ethically, contributing positively to the society, and addressing environmental concerns beyond its financial interest. It embodies a broader responsibility towards stakeholders and recognizes that the businesses have a role to play in building a more sustainable and equitable world. This is the main reason, honestly, why every organization wants to install and have a CSR policy in an organization because ultimately it becomes more sustainable, it lives for a longer period of time, and it is equitable as well. So, are you clear with what the CSR is?
I understood this one, the triple bottom line.
Yeah.
And uh, could you just explain, Miss, the definition? I think the way the sentence has been written is slightly tough. Like it focuses on the ethical and commitments of a company. That part. I think that it's in the first slide. See of the CSR definition.
In the conclusion part, in the second paragraph.
The first one, where it says define CSR over there. Could you explain that definition? I understood this one, triple bottom line. Yeah. First, not the command after the command verb.
Okay,
Like
okay. I think that's one, right?
yeah, this one, yeah.
All right. Um, CSR refers to the ethical and intentional commitment of a company. Okay. Um, what in general ethical means for an organization? What do you think? You work in a school, right? They do have some ethics, they do have some standards and cultural norms. Despite from wherever
Yes.
you belong, whether you are Saudi, whether you are Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Indian, whoever you are. But there are some ethics in every organization, whether it's an institute, an education institute, or it's in a hospital. But what are we doing as an organization to save the environment, save the people, save the surroundings? That is what actually a CSR is: intentional commitment. Sometimes we knew that our decision is going to affect the people, our decision is going to affect the wildlife. That is why the extinction of the animals are happening, the birds and the species as well. But we do it why? Because we need more and more profits. We need abnormal profits. Just to combat these issues, we have installed and introduced CSR, that is the corporate social responsibility. Itself, the word itself, the term itself is having a whole definition inside. Corporate means what? It means a company, it's an organization, an industry, a market. Social responsibility. We all have done community services in our college life, in school life, and university life too. What is a social responsibility or community service in which we serve the general public, the environment? That is what the corporate social responsibility is. Is it clear now?
Yes, miss. Like, could we give example like when if you're talking about the school, right? Like it says it not only focuses on the economic bottom line, but it focuses on the impact on people. People could be considered as student. Is it
Yeah,
the satisfaction of the like the student meeting the standards of the education and the environment that they're studying at? Is it something
that's
like that?
yeah, perfectly fine. It's a correct example.
Oh, okay, miss. I understand, miss.
Okay. Here an example as well. Prominent example of the corporate social responsibility is seen in the tech giant Google's initiatives to promote environmental sustainability. I hope you know the meaning of sustainability when we want that our future generation should also use the specific needs and wants which we're using at the moment. That is what sustainability is. We want to sustain something for a longer period of time. Google has committed to achieving carbon neutrality and 100% renewable energy for its global operations. Now, these two things, the carbon neutrality and the renewable energy, these are the goals for the environment and they are the policies of the CSR as well. Because ultimately, what is happening? We are helping the social responsibility, right? The social culture, the environment. We're helping out the planet. These two things are actually helping them. They invest in renewable energy projects, that is the green projects, and support initiatives to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, that is the carbon dioxide. Additionally, Google provides grants and resources for environmental research and conservation efforts, contributing to a better society and demonstrating a commitment to the planet's well being alongside their profit making activities. No doubt, they are earning a good amount, they're earning abnormal profits, but what they're doing at the same time, they have grasped the attention of the consumer towards them. We are loyal to Google. We all use Google accounts and stuff because we're depending on it no matter what. So, how they play with our emotions and with our mind, they have invested a large amount in the social responsibility. They're doing a lot of charity work, they're saving the environment, and so on and so on. Maybe in reality, what I feel like they're not doing nothing. Like, literally, they're doing nothing. They're just showing or pictures going that we are doing this, but in reality, the truth is way too dark. So, this is an example. Then moving towards assessment criteria 1.2, it says describe the background and changing attitudes to CSR. That is, we will be discussing in this the various perspectives or the backgrounds and the changing attitudes of the stakeholder towards the CSR policies. The word describe means provide an extended range of detailed factual information about the topic or item in a logically manner or a logically way. That is, you're going to explain each and every aspect in way too detail. Whether it's a definition, whether it's an example, whether there is an explanation of the indicative content with the help of statistic evidence, you have to prove yourself through writing, providing data. Background of the corporate social responsibility. The concept of corporate social responsibility has its roots in the early 20th century when the businesses began to face increased scrutiny for their impact on society. Because in the revolutionary period, that is the start and the era of 19th century, everything was getting revolved. But in 20th century, they felt like the general public and the people that the environment is getting most affected. And then the CSR was born in reality. The Industrial Revolution and the subsequent economic growth highlighted the issues such as poor working conditions, child labor, and environmental degradation. Obviously, when we are going to do something new in the market, we are going to face child labor. We are going to face adverse working condition. I'm talking about the early years. Still now, in many backward areas, we are facing these problems. Child labor is still common in developing nations. These concerns led to growing recognition that businesses had responsibilities beyond just profit maximization. Like, as an organization, I want to run a perfume business. Just aim or goal is not going to be making abnormal profit or normal profit or even the break even profit. I also want that I should make a good image in front of my consumers in the industry, in the market, that I'm well known that this person who is the owner of an XYZ brand is working for the environment too. Key events and factors in the background of the CSR include, again, these are from your indicative content. The first one is from the point is industrial revolution. The rapid industrialization of the 18th and 19th centuries brought about significant societal change. As factories emerged and labor conditions worsened, social activists and reformers began to call for improved working conditions and better treatment of employees because they were knowing their rights. They started to know that these are their rights, authentic rights, due to the labor unions and what do we call them, pressure groups. They were able to know that they can say a word to the other person, to the owner. Labor movement, labor unions and the worker protest. Labor unions are those unions which speak on the behalf of different employees or various employees. This a group of selective people. And the worker protest in the late 18th, 19th, and early 20th centuries advocated for the fair wages, reasonable working hours, and safer workplaces. After this amendment, it was viable for each and every developed nation to pay you with per hour wage rate. That is what we face in UK and Canada and America too. These movements highlighted the social impact of businesses on their employees. We know that they have hired us, but in reality, we are providing our services to the businesses. Businesses on themselves or on their own, they cannot be successful at all. You people are using your brain and energy and providing the consumers with the best services or the quality through a certain platform. Consumer awareness. Over time, consumers became more conscious of the products they were purchasing and the ethical practices of the companies producing those products. Very latest example, we have boycotted all the products which are from Israel, right? What we are doing? We're doing the consumer awareness because we know that they are funding the Israelis and ultimately they are bombarding the Palestinians. So we are not buying
Yeah.
any. So that's a perfect example, which is for till date. Then environmental awareness. I feel like they have bombarded so many innocent people in Gaza, Rafah, and the whole of the Palestine. I feel like that, like in upcoming years, we do going to face any like a global problem. I feel like because the dead bodies, they're just openly there, buried, and there is no funeral or nothing. A good, you can say, what do we call that, precautionary measures which we could take. So it is a big impact on the air as well, if you feel. I think so. What do you think?
Yeah, that is true, Miss. I mean,
Right? Because
there
there's
is no
so much blood,
measures. Yeah.
there's a lot of smell as well. You know, you cannot deny that these all things causes diseases. And I feel like when it's going to be end like an extreme level, then we're going to face a problem. So, because we as a Muslim nations, we're not doing anything. We are only doing parties and stuff.
Yes, you're right, Miss.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have changing attitudes. In changing attitudes, what we're having. First, we discussed the aspect from background, background of CSR, how it developed, why there was an initiative we want to develop this. Then we are having changing attitudes to CSR. Early philanthropy. In the early stages of CSR, businesses engaged in philanthropic activities like charitable donations and community support, like giving donations to the people, to the businesses in the form of check. These actions were often disconnected from core business practices and were seen as gestures of goodwill. Why gestures of goodwill? Because it felt like these organizations are giving so much donation, these are very expensive, these are quite a big or giant organization. So we only used it for the same purpose. Regulatory compliance. With the rise of regulations, that is, laws and regulations, laws and legislations from the government, areas like labor, health, safety, and the environment, companies began to focus on compliance as part of their CSR efforts. Legal requirements became a baseline for responsible business practices because the main focus is always on the money, on the profit, on the abnormal profit. Whether it's a government, whether it's um, what do we call um, like general public businesses organizations, but what we have to focus on, we have to focus on the health of the people, safety, environmental impacts, and each and everything. Then we have strategic implication. Attitude shifted from viewing the CSR as a standalone initiative to integrating responsible practices into business strategies. What it means, the way people used to think back in 19th 18th century, now they have changed totally. People want to save the environment because they want to live in cleaner and greener environment and earth for a longer period of time. Companies began to recognize that ethical and sustainable practices could lead to improved brand reputation and consumer loyalty. They started to play with the minds of humans. Maybe in reality they are not working on CSR, they are just manipulating the people, just making fool out of general public, and we are literally fools because we think that these organizations are actually cutting down the cost and they are saving the environment, and we will buy from them more and more. But in reality, the truth is quite dark. Stakeholder engagement. As the business acknowledged the impact of their actions on the various stakeholders, including employees, consumers, communities, and the investors, they started engaging with these groups to understand and address their concerns. That is, all kinds of um, what do we have? Stakeholder, whether they're internal or external, we are going to take the consideration of them. Their things, their decisions are going to matter in making up. So these are quite important entity. Then we have sustainability and triple bottom line. We already know that what triple bottom line is. It's about people, planet, and environment. The concept of the triple bottom line emerged, emphasizing the importance of social, environmental, and economic consideration. Businesses started recognizing that the long-term success depended on the balancing profits with the people and planet. That is, you have to gain profit, you have to earn more, but in reality, you have to see the environment, you have to save it for your own purpose, for your own sake. Nobody is going to have benefit out of it. Only you is going to benefit for a longer period of time or your future generation. Shared value. More recently, the concept of shared value has gained traction. It suggests that businesses can create economic value by addressing the social and environmental challenges. That is, it can boost the sales, it can increase the revenue, the growth of revenue, the sales. How? When we are going to, as an organization, tackle the patient's mind through environmental and impactful themes. This approach aligns business success with the societal well. Obviously, it's a win-win situation from both ends. Transparency and reporting. Increasingly, companies are expected to transparent about their CSR initiatives, that they should be quite loyal, they should be opaque, there should be no ambiguity left behind. Sustainability reporting and disclosure have become integral to demonstrating commitment to responsible practices. That is, due to the report of sustainability of how much things are sustainable, how products are sustainable, whether they are correct or not, it is causing a problem at the same time. The background and the changing attitudes toward the CSR reflects a progression from philanthropy to a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness between businesses, society, and the environment, because these three things are interconnected with each other, whether it's a business, whether it's a society, and environment. When we want to open a shop, we always see the environment, we always see the society, and then we opt for the purchasing or depriving a shop or a place. Today, CSR is not just about philanthropic acts, it encompasses strategic integration, stakeholder engagement due to that is after the involvement of CSR policies, strategies, what happened, this is what happens. Integration, engagement, sustainability, shared value creation. Businesses are expected to balance financial success with responsible practices that contribute positively to the well-being of society and the environment. Like the big companies, they always are the first point to give large amount of money in the form of charity. That is, they're literally doing the tactics, weak tactics for the CSR policies. For example, okay, an example of the changing attitudes towards CSR can be observed in the fashion industry. Historically, many fashion brands prioritize low production costs and fast turnover, often resulting in unethical labor practices and environmental degradation. However, with increased awareness of issues such as sweatshop, labor pollution, and waste, consumers began demanding more sustainable and ethical practices from fashion companies. Because they were loyal to you, that is why they started demanding from you that please focus on this thing, start working on it. And it's the best thing as well. In response to these changing attitudes, many fashion brands have started implementing CSR initiatives. They have adopted sustainable sourcing practices, improved working conditions in factories, reduced waste through recycling programs, and embraced transparency in their supply chains. Brands that fail to adopt or adapt to these changing expectations risk facing consumer backlash and reputational damage. That is, the brands which do not inculcate with the CSR policies, these are those problems. Highlighting the growing importance of CSR in the business strategy. Is it clear now? The concept of it?
Yes, Miss. Miss, I wanted to ask you this question. So basically, the function of this, the responsibility of this CSR helps to improve the society and promote a positive brand image for the companies, right?
Yeah.
So so we were discussing, right? Like we people, like basically it fools the most of the time, like it's fooling the society in making us, convincing us to believe that they are doing a huge impact for the society, right, Miss?
Hmm. Yeah.
So how about that? Like, let's talk about the Apple company, which has the watch. Let's talk about the health monitoring watch, right? So
Yeah.
people hugely have seen,
Hmm.
with a holistic mindset, they believe that it does really help to regulate, or you can say, monitor the uh, vitals of our body. How true is that? Like, is that authentic?
No, it's absolutely not. That is what my thinking is because ultimately we are actually damaging ourselves as well. Technology, wearing it all over the time, do you think it's a good thing?
No.
Some people like I remember when I used to started the 10,000 steps daily. I was getting crazy. Like all the time, I used to had on my wrist, and I ended up with a mark till now. Like I was so
Oh,
crazy at that time because these technology can make you shit. Are depending on it. It ultimately what is happening, they are saving the environment. We can talk with anybody without any barrier from one place to another. But what is happening? There is a dark side it.
okay,
So they're
got it.
actually playing and manipulating with us, with like literally um, the innocent people.
Yeah, now I think the concept is clear.
Okay.
So, Miss, the example that I had asked you about the Apple smartwatch, and you also gave me your incident, what happened to you. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to know, besides electrical, you can say usage to the consumers, right? What
Hmm.
are the, you can, like, what are the other examples related to the CSR we can talk about, like, besides electrical use?
For the
What
specific
about the
example of
fashion brands?
Apple Watch,
Yeah, besides Apple Watch, like besides the electrical, you can say usage. Like let's talk about the fashion brands, right? Shoes or
hmm
um so like there are some shoes they
um,
really say.
if you remember that there was a campaign, I think back in 20s and even in the 21st century, that there are certain brands they were using the um what do we call it? The skin of animals.
Yeah, okay.
It was totally against of the corporate social responsibility. If you are a CSR activist of an organization, then you have to take care of the environment as well. Now, the environment doesn't mean we have to take care of, does not like, it does not limits to air, earth. It means the living species as well, both non-living and living as well. And then they got banned, they got heavy fines. And then what happened? They introduced that we are using the recycled products now. But I don't feel like they're doing it because this world is quite manipulative. In front, they're doing something else. At the back, they're doing something else. This is harsh and bitter reality. But this is what CSR is. Oh,
Okay. So
yeah.
that means for every business like organization,
Mhm.
there is this corporate social responsibility. It exists basically.
Yes.
So does it exist for you could say companies like medicals, like the medical
Every
world?
kind of medicine, each and every kind of business and organization. Like,
Oh,
if I'm not wrong, there are certain pharmaceutical products at the back. You have must have read that these products are not tested on animals. If
yeah. Mm-hmm.
so that is what they are CSR initiated companies. They're telling
Oh, okay.
people that we are saving the environment, so it's safe to use on you people as well. So be calm and you can use it. And some products are used on the animals as well, like some certain tests are done on the animals first, mostly mice and rats.
Oh, okay, okay. Understood, miss.
Clear now?
Yeah, yeah, clear.
Now moving towards the last part for today's lecture, that is AC 1.3, describe the regulatory framework for the CSR. Now, obviously, it's a big thing, the corporate social responsibility. Now, there's going to be have laws and regulation imparted by the government. We will be reading those. Again, the same command word. Describe means providing an extended range of detailed factual information about the topic or item in a logical manner. You have to be precise, clear, and talk about whatever is within the boundary of the question. Regulatory framework for the corporate social responsibility. Now, the CSR has evolved from being primarily a voluntary initiative to being influenced by various regulatory frameworks that guide and sometimes mandate responsible business practices. These regulations aim to ensure that businesses operate ethically, consider social and environmental impacts, and contribute positively to the society. This is again a brief summary of the CSR, what it is. It is basically whatever steps we take to save the environment to the society. The first is ISO 26000. Obviously, these are the regulatory framework from the government, so these are the names. Now, ISO 26000 is about social responsibility, specifically for the voluntary guidelines. Now, the International Organization for the Standardization ISO introduced the ISO 26000 standard, which provides voluntary guidance on the social responsibility. It outlines principles and practices that organizations can adopt to integrate. It outlines the principles and practices that organizations can adopt to integrate social responsibility into their operations, strategy, and interactions with the stakeholders. Now, this specific ISO 26000 is for the, um, you can say, the stakeholders and how we interact with them in accordance to CSR. While not a mandatory regulation, ISO 26000 offers a globally recognized framework for CSR implementation. Whenever we want to implement CSR in any of the organization, the first obligatory framework is going to be this. Then the second one is environmental protection. Environmental regulations vary across jurisdictions, but typically include laws governing waste disposal, pollution control, resource management, and emission reduction. Now, these are all general things. Like, if you can relate it again to this CSR, why we're imposing CSR? Because if we are not going to inculcate that in the organization, then nobody is going to be accountable for the waste disposal, for the pollution, for the resource management. Everything is going to be abrupt and disruptive. Businesses are required to adhere to these regulations to minimize their impact on the environment and promote sustainability. That is the reason we are using the CSR policy. We want to introduce that. We actually are doing work on it because we want to minimize the impact of these things on the environment and the sustainability factor, which is the most important one. Then we have health and safety legislation. Health and safety regulations ensure that business provides safe working conditions for their employees and prevent workplace accidents. Compliance with these regulations includes maintaining the proper safety protocols, providing necessary training, and implementing the hazard assessment. This is what the health and safety legislation means. That is, we want to make sure that our workers should be safe and in a proper gear. We could train them, we could give them proper knowledge. Human rights legislation, human rights regulation, both domestic and international, that is the one which is working within your country, and one which is outside the country. Prohibit discriminatory practices, that is the women and male issues, and ensure that businesses respect human rights across their operations and supply chains. That is wherever they are. If their home hub is in America and their franchises are in all over the world, again, we have to follow the human rights legislation. These regulations address issues like forced labor, child labor, and fair treatment of employees. These are also these are also the acts which come under the CSR because this is corporate social responsibility. In the social responsibility, rather than environment, earth, and stuff, the humans are too important as well. Then we have compliance with employment legislation. That is now how the behavior should be with the employees, with the workers. Employment laws cover various aspects of labor practices, including minimum wage requirements, working hours, employer rights, fair labor practices. Businesses are legally obliged to comply with these laws to ensure proper treatment of their employees. Now, we both are these teachers and teachers. We know our employment legislations. These are the rights, and people do pay us like accordingly. The way we teach, the hours we work, they pay us. Anti-corruption and transparency law. Regulations related to anti-corruption and transparency require businesses to maintain ethical business practices, prevent bribery, the corruption, and ensure transparency in financial reporting. That is, we want white collar. Everything should be translucent and clear and opaque. How we can do that? When we find out that there is something problem related to corruption in an organization, then we can use this law. Law number 6. Supply chain regulation. Some jurisdictions have introduced regulations that require businesses to ensure responsible practices throughout their supply chain. That is, it is obligatory that no matter what, they have to follow certain rules and regulations. This includes assessing suppliers' ethical and environmental practices to avoid contributing to the negative impacts. That is, they don't want fights or negative things to enter in the organization. Consumer protection laws. Consumer protection regulations ensure that businesses provide accurate information about the products and services, avoid deceptive marketing practices, and protect consumer rights. Now, this is the right of the consumer. When we know that this is our right, we can claim any problem if we find out in any product or service. We can use this legislation. Industry specific regulation. Certain industries, such as finance, pharmaceutical, and food production, have specific regulations related to CSR, like um, many CSP officers, the food inspectors, they seal the food restaurants and stalls because they are not healthy enough or they are not providing up to mark food to the general public. So these are the industry-specific regulations. Then reporting and disclosure requirement. Sunrain have introduced mandatory reporting and disclosure requirements for the CSR initiatives. This includes sustainability reporting, where companies are obligated to disclose their social and environmental performance to stakeholders and the public. When we have to sell our shares at the stock exchange, only then we disclose our financial reporting to the general public and to the different stakeholders. So these were the 10 laws and regulations, regulatory framework. The regulatory framework for the CSR encompasses a range of laws and guidelines that encourage and sometimes mandate responsible business practices. From environmental protection to human rights and beyond, these regulations play a vital role in shaping how business integrates social and environmental into their operations, fostering ethical behavior and contributing positively to the society. So we did this according to the what do we call indicative content. Now it's an example. Let's read it. Environmental protection. It's a real life scenario, obviously. In many countries, environmental protection laws mandate business to minimize their environmental impact by implementing measures to reduce pollution, conserve natural resources, and manage waste responsibly. For example, companies may be required to obtain permits for emissions, adhere to regulations of the waste disposal, and comply with energy efficiency standards. Is it clear?
Yes, miss.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have health and safety legislation example. Workplace health and safety regulations aim to protect employees from hazards and ensure safe working conditions. For instance, companies may be required to provide proper training on safety protocols, maintain equipment regularly, and implement measures to prevent accidents. For failure to comply with health and safety regulations can result in penalties, fines, or legal actions. Heavy penalties are fined when we don't oblige with it. Then we have human rights legislation. In this prohibits discrimination, harassment, and exploitation in the workplace. Companies must adhere to the laws that protect employees' rights to the fair treatment, freedom from discrimination based on their race, gender, religion, or other protected characteristics. Violations of the human rights legislations can lead to legal repercussions, damage to reputation, and loss of consumer trust. This is what happens when we don't follow the legislation of the human right. Compliance with employment legislation. Employment legislation governs various aspects of the employed-employee relationship, that is, the manager and worker, including wages, working hours, leave entitlements, and termination procedures. Businesses are required to comply with labor laws to ensure fair and equitable treatment of employees. For example, companies must adhere to minimum wage laws, provide statutory benefits such as paid leave, follow due process in disciplinary actions as well. So this was the you can say four examples. Four examples from the 10 of the regulatory framework. Any questions or which you want to ask? Were they clear to you, the regulatory frameworks?
Yeah, miss, it was absolutely clear. I understood everything there.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So, Miss, basically, as per your explanation and the concept, CSR is not only limited to the importance or giving value to the, what do you say, the planet and the environment, but
Yeah.
also it is solely responsible for maintenance of the society, people that work, and also keeping in mind that we have to, what do you say, value the consumers because
Hmm.
so that we don't get affected in the future and so on. So
Yeah.
basically, it plays a very important role in both the input and output process.
Exactly. The
Okay.
CSR is absolutely not obliged to one area or specific place, like only social problems. It includes each and every aspect.
Okay, understood. So, Miss, I had this question as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the shoe brands, right? Plus, especially Skechers. So
Yeah.
they say people with foot issues like plantar fasciitis, or you can say low arch,
Mhm.
high arch, depending on the variations of the foot. So,
Yeah.
like this, if you go for the arch fit or especially the memory foam insoles, it does give you full protection. Um, it isn't that true because I suffer from plantar fasciitis and I've been wearing the sole and it is of no use. Like it is of less benefit. So how are these companies really helping the customers out by advertising?
Um, that is what the we can say that these people are not transparent, opaque, or true to the the general public. Only some shoes of Skechers are nice. But if you
Yeah.
honestly have the problem of the foot, like a serious problem, then we have some other brands other than the Skechers as well, which guarantees that if you buy their sole, you're going to feel comfortable.
Yes.
Like I am not able to pronounce the name of that brand because my problem is not that much severe at the moment. But if anybody needs or you needs a recommendation, I would definitely share that brand because it's an excellent one. But this is how we
Oh,
manipulate consumers, you know? We grasp their attention. Very simple example. Definitely, you must be using Instagram. Now,
yes, of
what
course.
happen is, and you do follow different bloggers and bloggers there.
Yes.
They
Mm-hmm.
promote daily products, like literally after whenever you open the Instagram, for example, after 2, 3 hours or 1 hour, maybe, then you find a new story promoting one product, another product, another product. Like they're
Yeah,
using
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it, but they are promoting it of various brands. Do you really think that they are loyal to us? No, they're not. Trust me, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, I got it.
human. We are only having one layer of skin, and you people, like as a vlogger, you guys are using three kinds of sunscreen at the same time, and you are saying that it is the best one, it is the great one, it is this, and blah, blah, blah. It's a big manipulation, trust me. They're manipulating us, they're just, this is what the whole world is, trust me. But this is a harsh reality too. We have to live with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So this also falls in one of the laws that we discussed right now, right?
Yes.
Like, I think, no, there were so many laws we were actually studying. I have to go to the slides.
Yeah, we did 10 laws. It was about the consumers, employers, human rights, and so on.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay.
So I hope you have understood each and everything and asked every question till now.
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay.